Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 3DO Experience, the 3DO retrospective podcast, where we talk about all things 3DO, the company, and everything in between. I am Bill, and this is Threk. How you doing, Threk?
I'm not dead yet, Bill. So I guess they say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, but I don't feel very strong. I feel just kind of whatever. But I'm here. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm not rambling to myself this week talking about the Army Men series.
You did a good job, buddy. You did a good job.
I tried. I had an idea for something, and I started going. I'm like, I'm just talking to myself in a corner right now.
I mean, isn't that all content creation is? You're just shouting into the void, hoping somebody will listen.
Fair. It was
Isn't that
kind of
all
a
you're doing?
it was kind of a throwback to the first episode of 3DO where I talked for 14 minutes about how much I love the 3DO and then called it day.
Yeah. But I'm back now. Bill's security blanket is somehow alive. As you can tell, if you're in the Discord, I've been dealing with like some sinus infection stuff, and it's really been fucking with me. Like today was really bad, but I got enough meds in me to where I'm up and I can do this. So I'm here. And also, it's an important episode because we're returning to the glory that is American Laser Games. But before we do that, we should introduce our concurrent American Laser Games expert.
Yep. Speaking of the early days of the podcast, we got our longest running guest now at this point. We got Casey back. How you doing, man?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks for having me back again. I think expert is a very strong word, but I'll try to learn what I can. But no, thanks for having me on again, guys. Good to see you all.
It's funny because like whenever we have a guest on now, like our running thing we do is we ask them what their 3DO, like what they know about the 3DO, but like you're like the rare case where we actually have someone who had a 3DO back in the day and actually knows about it.
Which has he never told his 3DO story on here before?
He did on his first appearance way back in the podcast original run before the hiatus.
Oh. Yeah. Well, you should tell it again. Fuck it.
All right. So yeah, I had a 3DO growing up. I was a big fan. I had pretty much most of the console releases from Nintendo Entertainment System on. I had a Sega CD, and I was always a full motion video game fan. I was one of those rare people that actually enjoyed those games. And then, of course, when the 3DO came out, it was like, oh my god, this is so much better than Sega CD. But in reality, it was only like marginally better. Begged for it and finally got it one Christmas. My dad and my mom, who had divorced at the time, my dad was kind of the one who fueled my video game addiction and ended up getting it on a pretty deep discount. So ended up with the 3DO, and it was the Gold Star version. So I had that one. It wasn't very long before it broke, and I had to send it in and then wait months for it to get back. It was the laser that burnt out. So later on in life, when I started rebuilding my collection, fast forward many years and saved the audience a retelling of my video game collection theft story, I did get another 3DO Gold Star, but I made sure to get extra lasers with it. So that's kind of my very condensed 3DO story.
It's always funny, like how many times when you get like a Gold Star owner, like their first thing they always say is like, "Oh, it was great until it broke."
Yeah. Unfortunately, it did break. I'm trying to remember if I actually had the tray problem too. I think there was a problem with the tray ejecting at some point. But so no, looking forward to talking about today's topic. So again, just thank you both for having me on.
Yeah, no worries, man.
There's a local game store by me that has a Gold Star 3DO. Like it's
really?
very clean. They want $220 for it. They even have like the Gold Star controllers. I'm not paying that price for that, especially knowing the horror stories of it. I got an FC10, so I'm fine.
That's the one I wanted.
It's arguably the best one to get unless you really want the FC1, which the FC1 is the nicest looking one.
Sorry, the one. Yeah, that's the one I wanted.
But the 10 is the one that doesn't die as much. So
yeah, it's manageable.
Yeah, the top loader.
Yeah,
but you can't play Road Rash with the music for some reason.
Oh, that hurt me. That hurt me. Yeah, it has something to do with because the FC1 was made differently than the FC10, and the Road Rash was made with the FC1 in mind. So for some reason, when I was playing through Road Rash, the music was not an option.
It's
So
like
I
a
had,
memory incompatibility. It's a
I think
weird,
I think it has less memory than the FC1. Weirdly enough,
but
yeah, I don't know how that works. But anyways,
it's been a crazy news week for gaming.
well, the last 2 weeks have been kind of crazy. We're not going to do all 2 weeks. That's insane. But we'll do the main thing that it was like today, and it's kind of equating to a couple days ago. GTA 6, it got pushed back to May 26th, 2026. It got a whole year delay. Not surprising. I'm a little pissed because at one of my fantasy drafts, I picked it. So I'm like, well, I'm kind of screwed now. But nevertheless, seeing it getting a year delay isn't really that surprising. Just considering, I mean, how long we've been waiting this game for what, 12 years? What's another 12 months, right?
Yeah.
But today we did get the second trailer that dropped today, and I watched it. And yeah, it's more GTA. It's what it looks like. It looks really
pretty.
good.
Yeah.
It looks very pretty. You can tell they're really making use of the hardware and
I read that
whatever engine it's in. Is it still in the Rage engine?
It's in the Rage. I read that apparently that's running off native PS5. So,
I mean, yeah, at the end of it, it said it was captured on PS5 because it's coming out on PS5 and Series. It's not getting its PC port till like another year down the line in typical Rockstar fashion. But yeah, it looks great. The leak that was out years ago about how the story is like a Bonnie and Clyde thing, that just kind of confirmed it because it's about like Jason and Lucia, whatever. The two of them just, I don't know, just getting into shenanigans, I guess. A bunch of screenshots dropped. They did a whole big thing on it to be like, and they even confirmed the release date in the trailer, saying like it's gonna come out then. We'll see if it gets delayed again. But yeah, I think it looks good. I'm looking forward to playing it, but I am not going to spend the $80 to $100 that it's going to be on day one.
Yeah, I'm not getting it right away.
What about you, Casey? Are you a GTA fan?
Actually, so no, not really. I mean, I've played some GTA 5, but it's not a game that I really got into. I mean, I don't think I've really been into GTA since 3, since like PS2.
Yeah.
But no, it's a cool game. I mean, I totally respect it. I got nothing against it. It's just, there's games that I know I need to stay away from, or else they may ruin my life. So it was like Skyrim was at the top of the list there. GTA, The Witcher got up there for a little while too, where it was just sinking way too much time. So yeah, I have to be very careful with some of my video games.
I get you. Have you been playing the Oblivion remaster at all? Speaking of Skyrim,
nope, not going to touch it. Not at all.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
What's really funny? How like gas stations have those like stupid little ads that will play every now and then when you're when you're at the pump. There was a recent one I saw that kind of I had one of those moments where I was like, "Are you kidding me?" It was this like Rockstar game dev who was like talking about GTA 6, and he made the comparison he made. Like I was like, did I just hear that right? He claimed that they were planning on making GTA 6 like one of those like it's a game within a game kind of things where they basically compared it to Roblox, and they said that their goal was to capture the Roblox audience. And I just sit there going like, so you're just saying you're marketing this towards children? I see. Perfect.
They probably should have used like Fortnite.
Yeah, Fortnite would have made more sense,
because really like Fortnite and Roblox and all these, they're like platforms in and of themselves. Like you boot up Fortnite now and it has all these different modes and all this fucking shit to do, and it's a free game. It's insane, right? And the success of GTA Online is why GTA 6 has taken, it'll be 13 years when it comes out, because GTA Online did so well off the back of GTA 5, they haven't really needed to make a 6. And we know with GTA 6, GTA Online 2, or whatever they decide to call it, is going to be a big focus. I mean, there's going to be probably people like you and me, Bill, who just play the single player and that's it, you know,
eventually.
But there's going to be a lot of people who jump into the GTA Online for 6, like the big was like the role play servers, right? And I know that Rockstar actually bought one of the big like role play like companies or whatever who's doing it on Twitch. Like they just straight up acquired them. So my guess is that's going to be integrated as well into the online. And the way they say that and the way it's going to be structured, I think GTA 6 will be like GTA 7. It'll probably be 20 years till we see a GTA 7. Like,
probably.
that's a safe bet. It really
I just hope
is.
Rockstar makes a game that's not Grand Theft Auto in that time frame.
I mean, they could do like a nice remaster of 4 or do some like smaller side stuff or like Bully remaster, please, or a new Bully game, fucking please. Like there's other chances, but I think with the year delay, because I was thinking about it, I'm like, they're probably delaying it a year, like in the Nintendo fashion when they delayed Tears of the Kingdom a year. And they did that whole year just for like bug and Q&A stuff. That's probably what this year is going to be for 6. Because how many times in the last couple years have we seen these big games have completely disastrous launches? Like Cyberpunk's a big one. Another one I thought of was the GTA trilogy. Like that was a disaster. And I think Rockstar cannot afford GTA 6 to have a bad launch with how long it's been in development for, how much money has been spent on it, and the whole campaign that's going to be around this game. If it launches like Cyberpunk, it's not going to end well for them at all. It's going to be a disaster, and they can't afford that. So this year, it's going to be, they're going to be sure that this game runs like clean as a whistle, as clean of a fucking whistle as they can. Who knows? Maybe they'll hire me to QA test it. I don't know.
There you go. You know, I'm glad
I do it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
No, I'm glad you brought up Cyberpunk because that's one of my favorite games, but it's also the only game that I ever demanded a refund on Steam for because of how badly it launched. And so it was like the perfect analogy because and when I saw that date get pushed back, I wasn't upset about it. I mean, I was like, you know what? They're trying to avoid a CD Projekt Red here and make sure that launches right. So yeah, that was spot on.
And it took CD Projekt, it took them a couple years because the opinion on Cyberpunk is so different now that it almost kind of gave me whiplash where I'm like, I remember when this game launched like shit, right? But I played it on Series X a couple years ago, you know, after all the big updates, and it played and ran just fine. I had literally no issues with it. Outside of some bugs and glitches that made it just feel like a Ubisoft game, which is like, who fucking cares at that point, right?
That game was just an unfortunate victim of criminal like overhyping.
Yeah, it was a whole mess. And my
difference with GTA 6 is GTA 6 is just naturally hyped, so it's just kind of one of those.
I mean, this is arguably the most hyped game in existence right now because it's been in development for so long. True. And GTA 5 was such a huge success, and we know this is going to be a big success as well. And like I've kind of been ready for another GTA campaign. Like I'm ready for a new one, you know? And
I mean, I was still in high school when the last one came out, so
I was fresh out of high school. It was my first complete year out of high school when GTA 5 came out. Like me and a buddy went to the midnight release, if y'all remember those. He won like the cardboard cutout display. It was a whole thing. He bought it for his PS3 and we loaded it in his PS3 and it took forever to load up, but then we messed around with it and it was a fun time. I later played and beat that game on PS4 like, I don't know, 2018, 2019 or something, around the time for like Red Dead 2, I think.
I still remember starting it up on my PS3 the first time and it made my PS3 sound like a jet engine. I was like, that's not good.
Yeah. I imagine running that thing on like a base model 360.
It would just red ring.
It would red ring it immediately. Yeah. So, but yeah, GTA 6 when that comes out, we'll see where we are in May, you know, and we'll go from there. But yeah, is what it is. Speaking of stuff coming out next year, this I obviously got tagged in this because it's something I give a shit about. So Xbox did like a random blog about like Asian and Pacific Island heritage or whatever, and then the middle of it they interviewed the creator of Echo the Dolphin, Ed. Is it Annunziata,
I believe.
Annunziata, thank you.
Very interesting man.
Yeah, Annunziata. They interviewed him about like the Echo series and everything. And they asked him, they said, "Oh, what's the future of the Echo series?" And he said, "Oh, we're remastering 1 and 2 and a third game's coming out next year." Like just casually, like, "Oh, the Echo series is back."
That's extremely on brand for Ed.
And there's a website. If you type in echothedolphin.com, it takes you to a little counter And the timer, it ends April 25th, 2026. Now, I don't know if that means that's when they're coming out or if we're actually going to see what they are. Like, we don't know anything beyond that. Don't know a thing. But I saw that and got tagged in it and went, what? That was not on my 2025 bingo card, was seeing this stuff happen. But it's interesting because there has been movement in the Echo story for a couple years now. Because Annunziata, he tried to crowdfund like a spiritual successor a couple years ago called, I think it was like The Big Blue, and it didn't happen. It didn't make the money, but he said he was still going to work on the game. And then he, I think, got into like a lawsuit with Sega about the rights to Echo or something. The details aren't really clear on that. And then I think it was in like 2019, somebody asked him if he was working on a new Echo game, and he's like, yes, I want a new Echo game to be a thing. And he was like trying to convince Sega to make it a thing, right? And then the Echo, what was it? The Echo IP got its trademark renewed like a year or two ago. And this whole like Sega being like, oh, we're going to bring back our old shit. And one of them was, in the trademark listing was Echo. So it was like, oh, there's something happening here. And if anybody remembers this, when the Intellivision Amico, formerly Intellivision Amico, was a thing, one of the games they advertised was a game said being created by the original Echo the Dolphin team called Dolphin Quest. Now, I don't know if Dolphin Quest was the Big Blue or if the Big Blue is going to turn into Echo 3. I have no idea. There's not a lot here because not a lot of people are digging for this. Shockingly, I know.
Ed is also a very cryptic guy. Like, he doesn't really share stuff until it's done, and then he'll just drop it, and you'll be like, oh,
that's cool. Fine. Like, if that date, April 25th, is like that's when Echo 1 and 2 Remastered are out, and then maybe you get a trailer for the third one later that year, that's fine. I could live with that.
Like, trying to find development history on like any of the non-Echo games he's made, like it's like almost impossible. Like, there's like no info on Colibri. There's like barely anything on Tiny Tank, like Mort the Chicken, like nothing.
Yeah,
we only know Echo because Echo is a little bit
it's a first party Sega IP, so it has some more weight to it, and it was a very notable game for the Genesis back in the day. True. To where it still has a cult fan base to it. And it was funny, I had to explain to some people that this next one's called Echo 3, and people are like, but there's more than 3 Echo games. What the? And I had to go like, well, Echo Junior is like a weird edutainment side thing, because there's 2 of those. There's
with
Echo
the most
Junior
horrifying music for educational.
There's Echo Junior on the Genesis, which is like you play as a tiny Echo, and you just like talk to sea creatures, and they give you scientific facts about themselves. It's pretty cute. And then there's the Sega Pico, Echo Junior, and the Great Ocean Treasure Hunt, which is just even more of an edutainment thing. But then there's the Dreamcast, Defender of the Future. That's considered a reboot.
Yeah.
Because that had a sequel in the works called Echo 2, like, was it Sentinel of whatever, that it was for the PS2, and it got canceled, but there is footage out there of which you can see. Like, it's weird that Echo is one of the few Dreamcast games that didn't get an Xbox port.
Probably because they ported it to PS2 and it bombed. Like, it didn't sell well.
Yeah. It's just the relationship between Sega and Microsoft at the time would have made more sense. But also, it's like Shinobi wasn't on Xbox.
Yeah,
there's a few Sega IPs that's like, it is weird they just didn't show up on Xbox at that time.
PlayStation got Shinobi and Virtual Fighter.
Yeah, and Nintendo got Billy the Hatcher.
Yeah, they got all the Sonic Team stuff.
Yeah, but the Sonic Team stuff was on everything else too.
Not the exclusives. Well, not the the single.
The adventure games weren't.
The adventure game, basically everything from Heroes on
was multi-plat. Yeah. So, but yeah, seeing that was like, what the fuck? I can't believe Echo's actually coming back. And I'm curious to because the term remaster has gotten so blurred over the years, especially when we just had Oblivion remaster, when they could have called it a remake, and I don't think anybody would have been mad about it. So it's like, how much are they going to remaster Echo? Like, are they just going to port them to other consoles and call it a day? Are they going to put them in widescreen? Are they going to redo the graphics, redo the music? Is it going to be 2.5D, or is it going to maintain the pixel art? Who the fuck knows? I mean, there's so many ways they could go with Echo remastering 1 and 2. I think you could improve them as far as like, say, like trimming down the difficulty, adding checkpoints, that kind of stuff, refining the controls.
Adding
'Cause,
in all the Sega CD add-ons.
Yeah, they could add that stuff in there. There's a lot they could do. It's just a matter of how far are they willing to go. So who knows? Will we get anything prior to this date? I'm assuming no. Safe bet. I don't think we're getting anything before this date. So if I'm wrong, you will hear about it. You will hear about it. But yeah, I'm a sicko that likes Echo, so I'm one of like a half dozen people who are excited about this. Whatever. What about
Speaking
you,
of-
Casey?
I think so. No, that's probably the most exciting news I've heard yet. And it's funny. I always learn so much from you guys when I come on the show. Like, my gosh, I didn't know there were so many Echo games. And now I'm like, I'm on this website and I'm furiously like making a video game out of it, looking for like a Easter egg or something. Like I'm selecting
There's
all
nothing
and,
there.
Like, there's nothing. Yeah. So,
Nothing. No.
But no,
I
that's
just, like-
super cool. I mean, I could see them going with like a cell shaded look or something like that. They're gonna have to have like some sort of a banger of a soundtrack. You know, I'm thinking like something like Aquatic Ambiance, but like modern. Like I always kind of put that song with Echo, even though it was not. But
I like the idea of them maybe like taking the original like Genesis or Sega CD tracks and getting them rearranged and remade by somebody now.
be cool.
Because I mean,
I would-
Echo Jams, like that's a thing. Like the Echo soundtrack kind of created its own type of music. So
And
they
also-
could very well pull people from that scene and have them make something for the Echo game, and that could be really special.
Yeah.
I don't know about the licensing if that would be an issue, but I'd also love them to include the Spencer Nielsen Sega CD soundtracks because they're interesting. They're like it's a very
they're pretty good.
because he's the guy that did the American Sonic CD soundtrack.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
which
It's
is
just-
pretty unique. You know, I mean, there's that whole argument about the U.S. and Japan's Sonic CD soundtrack, and I think they're both good.
They
They
both
both-
have songs that are better than others, and then
Yeah.
songs that are
Yeah,
worse than others.
I think overall I prefer the Japanese one just because it's really fucking hype. You
Yeah.
know, and it sounds like a Tokyo nightclub in like 1992,
well,
which
the
was
boss,
which
the
had to
bo-
be insane.
the boss theme in the Japanese version has a hype man in it. It is like
Yeah, I
one of
know
the
it's great.
dumbest-
It's so good, but I do
dumbest
like
things.
the vibe of the American soundtrack as well. They both
Well, I love that
do a really good job.
the water level sounds like the Fresh Prince theme for no reason. Like
For legal purposes, it doesn't.
Right.
No,
it's like how the tracks in Sonic 3 totally don't sound like Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
except those ones that were conveniently left out of Sonic Origins.
Yeah. and the one track
though-
that is just straight up Stranger in Moscow.
Though what's interesting is like with the whole Sonic 3 thing, like those songs that they took out for the Sonic Origins or whatever that they put in for like Carnival Night and all that. If you found like those like prototype versions of Sonic 3 that were released, those were the original tracks made for it.
Mm.
So at some point, Michael Jackson came in during development and changed some stuff around. So in a weird way, that's like the more pure version of it because it was what was originally intended. But again, they just don't want to get sued because members of MJ's team have threatened to sue.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Before MJ died, it was never an issue. Which my guess is maybe there was some kind of gentleman's agreement where like MJ and his team wouldn't say anything and they would just let it happen because he didn't need the money.
Yeah.
But now that all the problems began after he died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, if you ask like Brad Buxer and all those other guys about it, they're a little more vocal about their criticisms of it, which, you know, for right or wrong, I get it. So,
Yeah.
but anyways, this Echo remaster thing, don't worry, I'll let you all know.
Oh yeah.
I'll keep
That
you all
sounds cool.
updated.
Speaking
then-
of
And speaking of that, the Bubsy
oh,
collection. got
what could
fucking
possibly go
announced.
wrong?
Yeah, so Limited Run Games, was it today? They just said, "Oh yeah, we're doing a Bubsy collection." And when I saw that, my first thought was, "Wait, that doesn't exist?" I thought that was already a thing.
No, the only Bubsy game. Actually, I don't think a single Bubsy game has ever been re-released. Not counting the.
I wonder why.
Not counting the PC port of Bubsy 1 from like way back in
There
the
was a
day.
PC port of that game.
Yeah, it was called Super Bubsy. It was identical, but it came with the pilot for that canceled TV series that's worse
Oh
than the
my
games.
god! Oh my god!
It's on
Yeah,
YouTube
what-
if anyone wants to see it.
But yeah, so in this collection, does it have every version of every game on it?
I didn't really look super deep. I'm assuming it has 1, 2, 3D.
Here, let me.
The Jaguar game.
It says Bubsy in the perfect collection because, of course, it does. Let's go to Atari's site because it's weird that does Atari own Bubsy, or is it just that like? Oh wait, does Atari own Limited Run?
Do they?
I don't know
I have
because
no idea.
it's on Atari's site, and I'm like, wait, does Atari own Bubsy?
Embracer Group, it says.
Oh, of course, Embracer.
Yeah,
Oh,
since August
okay.
22.
Okay, fair enough. So let's see.
And I didn't know that. Like you guys know stuff. I just Googled it right now.
That's fair.
Let's see. Atari's site doesn't really give me much, so let's just go to the Steam. The Steam listing. That'll do. That always tells me everything I need to know. It has the first Bubsy. It has the SNES, Super Famicom, and Genesis version. Bubsy 2. It has the SNES version, the Genesis version, and the Game Boy version. The Fractured Furry Tales, which was a Jaguar exclusive. You got to have those exclusives. That's what sells the consoles. Okay.
Oh yes.
It's exclusive games, nothing else. And then, of course, Bubsy 3D.
It's not even a complete collection. It doesn't have the 2 PS4 games that suck.
Well, to be fair, I think you could probably get those separately if you really
You could.
care.
And only the first one was bad. The second one is just straight up Bit Trip Runner.
All right, so where's
Wait, so the Jaguar, the Fractured Furry Tales coming out on that?
Yes, it is.
How are they going to
Okay.
emulate that?
So let's. So yeah, the original Bubsy it only had a SNES and a Genesis version, but outside of that PC port, Bubsy 2 had the Genesis, SNES, and Game Boy version. Fractured Furry Tales had the Jaguar version. Well, I'll answer the Jaguar thing in a second, and then 3D just had the PlayStation version. So they have basically every version of the games. Because I didn't know if they were going to be like missing a random Game Boy version or whatever, but they're all there.
I wonder if they reached out to Sony Bend and they're like, "Do you mind if we port this?" And Sony Bend was probably like, "We don't care. We don't even
They
want
probably don't even own it.
Well, no, they don't own it, and they also want nothing to do with it. Like it's not listed on their website. Like it's basically they pretend it didn't exist.
Yeah. And then yeah, as you said, those new Bubsy games like The Woolly Strikes Back was PS4 Windows only, and then Paws on Fire was PS4 Windows and Switch. So, and my guess is nobody is really clamoring for those anyways. And even though this Bubsy thing is coming out on all the platforms, so PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, PC, you know me, I'll be playing it with my new Doom: The Dark Ages controller, the right controller for Bubsy, right?
Of course, awesome controller.
Thank you. So yeah, I saw this and just went, am I gonna buy this and be mad that I bought it and played through it all? Yes, that is the plan. So to answer your question about the Jaguar thing, there is a really good Jaguar emulator now.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because in that Atari 50 collection that came out that had Jaguar games on it, they ran beautifully, right? Like no hiccups at all. Apparently, they hired some dude to make the emulator for it, and he has now released that emulator. Just it's available to buy, or not to buy, but just to like to have. It was the guy I was looking him up. His name is what was the name of the guy? Rich Whitehouse. Like he made a Jaguar emulator for Atari 50, and now it's available to just download. It's closed source, and it's called Big PEMU, the world's preferred large pussycat emulator. That is what it's called.
Okay,
what a name!
I can finally play Kasumi Ninja.
And that's the thing. It has 100% compatibility with the cartridges and the CD games.
Yeah.
We can all play the freaking Highlander game now. Yes.
Yeah. So if anybody wants to emulate Jaguar games, look up Big PEMU, download that, and you can play any Jaguar game perfectly. Like it's amazing the work that was put into it and the compatibility. The only issue you're going to have is controller bindings, but you're going to have that issue regardless because of the Jaguar's awful
that
controller.
Ridiculous controller, yeah.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if Fractured Furry Tales has some of that in it. It's saying it's running off the Carbon engine, which is the thing that Modern Vintage Gamer made for Limited Run, which is essentially like his sort of version of RetroArch. It's the best way I could describe it. It's him taking the idea of RetroArch and making it a game engine so that you can run these games
interesting
better. And it's very optimized, or you can optimize it for each game and everything. Like you can look up MVG talking about the Carbon engine. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
So my guess is Jaguar games will probably run just fine on it. So, but yeah, a Bubsy collection. Why the fuck not?
I just can't.
I'm still waiting on the Gex trilogy.
I know this is going to come out before it, and I'm going to laugh so hard.
Oh yeah. And the only thing I could imagine is maybe with the 3D games, they're having some issues with them.
I just can't wait for like all these people that have never actually played Bubsy 3D to play it for the first time and get that like experience of just how awful that game is.
But as I said before, it's a work of art.
It's fascinating.
Amazing.
It's fascinating how
that
bad
game needs to be hanging in like the Louvre or like MoMA or something.
Well, the best part about Bubsy 3D is the fact that the team was 100% thought they were making something groundbreaking. And then they went to E3 and saw Mario 64 and just went, we're screwed.
And then they turn their head, see Crash Bandicoot and say, we're doubly screwed.
We can't even win on our own console.
Gosh.
Fuck. So, but yeah, Bubsy collection. It says it's coming out this year. I believe it. Will I pay full price for it? I might be an idiot.
It'll probably go on sale pretty quick.
My guess is it'll probably be like $20. If it's $20, I'll spend the $20. Why not?
Sure. I mean, it's cheaper than paying for Fractured Furry, whatever the Jaguar one is, because that game's expensive as fuck.
Yeah. So, and if you guys go to my stream VODs on YouTube, one of them, I forget which one, I played the first Bubsy. That was rough. I think I described it as it was like I was stepping into the shoes of people who hate the 2D Sonic games and say they control like shit. It felt like now I understand where they're coming from, because Bubsy feels like if Sonic was bad.
Bubsy,
you know what I mean?
It's
like
Sonic
if Sonic was
fun.
a bad game.
It's Sonic minus fun.
Seriously, like because it's trying to have like kind of speed and momentum, and it just does not know how to do it. They don't have Yuji Naka like figuring it out.
You also can't roll into a ball and become a spinning ball of doom.
No, but you can fly for some reason, and he gets hit by everything.
Yeah,
he's as weak as Lester the Unlikely.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving on. Another big thing. Gears of War 1. Y'all know Gears of War 1, right? Chainsaw, broom, broom. That got a remaster, I think it was in 2015, called the Ultimate Edition. It's a fine remaster. They're remastering that remaster. It's called Gears of War Reloaded. And the big thing, it's coming on PlayStation 5. So it's coming on the Xbox, the PC, and the PlayStation. So Gears was like the next big Microsoft franchise to come over to the PlayStation. And it's a remaster of a remaster of Gears of War 1. I mean, it looks fine. It has online multiplayer. It has cross-play, like cross-platform play, which is cool, because co-oping those games really is the way to play them if you haven't done that. And yeah, sure. I don't fucking care.
It looks just as gray and brown as I remember.
Yeah. I mean, if you play the later Gears games, they definitely improve on the color palette. Yeah. I can promise you that.
See,
and yeah, it's like, and this coming to PlayStation isn't really that big of a deal.
No,
like the majority it's a decade-old remaster of a 2-decade-old game.
Yeah,
it's not that big a deal.
The majority of people who just want to, the majority of people who don't care about stupid stuff are kind of just like, oh, cool.
Yeah,
like, that's been the general consensus.
Yeah, and it's like just about all the Microsoft games that have been coming to PlayStation have been like old games anyways. You know, they've been out for a while, so they're like, we'll throw it to them because they'll scoop it up because they'll pay
we'll get some on the side, basically.
Yeah. Rather than just paying for Game Pass to get like Indiana Jones and Forza Horizon 5, these fuckers will pay full price on the PlayStation. So just throw it to them. They'll pay.
Hey, put it on Nintendo Switch. They'll pay even more.
Yeah, they'll pay $80.
I was gonna say over on PlayStation, we like it that way. Damn it! Yeah. As we cry in the corner.
I mean, if anything, it just, and then this kind of coupled with like Microsoft raising their prices on everything, which was really bad. In some ways, that further justifies Game Pass because you just pay that subscription and then you just get all these games, like Doom: The Dark Ages, like Outer Worlds 2 and everything else that's coming. It's like I'm not paying full price; they're just coming on Game Pass, so it's better value for my money. But are they going to raise the price of Game Pass again? Probably.
Yeah.
They probably will. How
Pretty
much
sure
and when?
PlayStation Plus just went up, so
yeah.
Oh, did it?
Right now,
not
Game
a
Pass.
lot, but
Right
it's
now, Game Pass Ultimate is $20 a month,
Mhm.
and
Oh, yeah.
for what you get for it, I still think it's pretty good value.
I
Now-
totally agree.
So if they bump it by like $5, I think it'll be fine. But if they hit like 30, then I'm like, you're starting to push it a little bit by $30 a month. But
Yeah.
we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Them raising prices is shitty, but it's happening everywhere. It's just they were so blunt. In just one day, they're like, oh, here's everything's raised price and it's happening now.
Yep.
You know, none of this, oh, it'll happen later. They're just, oh, here's everything. You
Yeah.
know. So, but I get it. It's rough, and the industry's just not in a good spot right now with prices raising on everything. Everybody getting fucking fired and laid off, and studios getting closed even when they make successful games. The whole thing's a mess. You know, like when EA announced that they were closing, was it the World Rally Championship game from Codemasters? Because I think they had, was it continuing support for that, right?
Yep.
And then they just said, oh, we're laying off a bunch of people from Codemasters, and that game's been canceled, and Codemasters may be done. They might just be done.
I mean, they're still making F1 games, so there's that.
I mean, it said they had ended their partnership with the World Rally Championship, and thus would be pausing development plans for future rally titles. It's confirmed that layoffs will occur, and as well as the redeployment of staff to different areas of EA Sports. So it sounds like Codemasters, if they're still going to exist, it's not going to be in the same spot as they were before. They might just become part of EA Sports and do the F1 games, as you said.
Yeah.
Which is just another chapter of EA being terrible.
That was my favorite.
Right?
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite conversations we had on Discord, where you asked me, you're like, "Are the F1 games even good?" And I was like, "They were good until EA bought them."
Yeah. I tried playing a bit of that World Rally Championship game, and it could just be I'm not used to those type of games, but I was doing like the first like training race, and I was like, "Fuck this." But but I know they control differently. You know, I played quite a bit of Sega Rally Championship, so.
Yeah. They're very
it's different than
sim-like,
Daytona.
and you play they're very sim-like, and you play them for the first time. You're like, wow, I can't drive for shit.
Yeah, seriously, for a guy who has put like dozens of hours into like the Forza Horizon games, like going to that is quite a shock. And then I went, I'll just go back to Mexico.
I saw a comment once where someone was playing one of those for the first time. They're like, why does it feel like I'm driving on sand? It's like, well,
I'll just stick with Sega Rally Championship on the Sega Saturn. That game is fucking the bomb.
Or Sega Rally Revo on PS3, if anyone's ever played that one. I think it might be on 362.
It might be. Who knows?
But
that was really all the major news stuff I saw, unless you have something else, Bill.
The only other thing I saw was we did get new Nintendo Music.
Oh, we did.
Ooh.
Casey, have you been following the Nintendo Music app?
I've got it. I just haven't fired it up in a while.
So this is kind of a running joke.
What was the one last week?
So the last one that got added was Fire Emblem Engage.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, Crest toothpaste. Yeah.
Crest toothpaste. That's what exactly.
Let's see.
So we got one new title on a system that I was always clamoring for back in the day.
Hold on. It's not Wind Waker, is it?
Nope.
Okay.
Oh, was it F-Zero?
No, that one's been there for a bit.
Okay.
Oh, there was Mario Kart 7 on 3DS.
Yep, that's the one they just added.
I thought they added that one last week.
No, that was or maybe it was last week and I just didn't do it because of the recording.
Yeah, because I'm looking at it now and I'm like, what did they add that was new? Again, that's the problem with this thing. Every time you look at it, you just see something and you just assume it was always there.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Oh, you know what happened? Because you weren't on the show last week. It was I didn't do the segment, so that's why we didn't talk about it.
I'll say there's the Zelda stuff. Was the Zelda Famicom disc system there?
Yes.
Okay.
That one got like shadow dropped, but because they didn't really announce
these all get shadow dropped. What do you mean?
Well, sometimes the app will be like new music, and sometimes it won't.
I've never gotten a new music like notification.
I get them every other time. It'll be like, ooh, new music here, and then sometimes I'll open it up like I don't remember that.
Well, I put the news app on like a idiot because I thought that
Oh,
maybe I'd get some news about when the Switch 2 was going to go pre-order.
see, that
And
whole thing was really stupid. The
yeah, it
fact
was.
that they made this whole thing about they have a news app, and then the first day they're like, "Oh, we're doing the Zelda movie," which they thought would get everybody there.
Yeah,
And then you look at it now, and it's just, "Oh, here's a picture of Mario." It's like, who
Cool.
the fuck?
yeah,
Like, and I feel it's a case. Fine Time talked about this the other day, where like Kevin was like, they really should be using this for like genuine Nintendo news. And then Dre
yeah,
was like, they were never going to do it that way. They were going to do this bullshit with like pictures of Mario and Peach on it. And it's like, yeah, but I feel like this is a case where you can have your cake and eat it too. Like you can do both. And the fact that they're not using this for any genuine Nintendo news, like they're just still doing normal press releases to like IGN or whatever,
yeah,
is really a waste of potential for this thing.
Well,
It really is.
It's Nintendo. They can only go so far beyond 1995.
yeah.
It's just like when this app first dropped, my initial thought was, oh, they're doing this to combat the leaks
Yeah,
because the leaks got completely out of control. And they're like, we want to retake control of everything because that's what they're about. And so they're going to drive everybody to this news app, which honestly, if they had legit news showing up on there, it would be fine. But they're not. At least at this point, they're not. They may occasionally do something weird on it, but it's not going to be enough to really sustain it. So that thing's probably going to die in like a couple years anyway.
Yeah, they're
yeah.
gonna.
Unfortunately, I thought that that's how they marketed it, though. Like they marketed it as a way to get the Nintendo news, and it was going to kind of supplement
Yeah.
Rex. And I
And it's not.
and it's
They,
not.
they haven't bothered with anything. So it's just, it's really dumb and stupid.
It's the most Nintendo thing ever.
And we're
Yeah,
used. I'm used to it. As a Nintendo fan, I am used to it.
that's true.
I mean, hey.
Are you getting the Switch 2 day one, Casey?
I am not. So they decided to do pre-release when I was out of the country, and without any link to Civilization. So yeah, I missed that pre-order. I've got my lottery ticket in for this week for the 8th, so we'll see what happens there. But
Best luck to you.
honestly, you know what's funny? With all the Switch 2 stuff, and don't get me wrong, I'm a huge Nintendo fan. Like I've always loved Nintendo. I'm gonna buy it at some point, but after the direct and the news and everything, I dusted off my 2DS and started playing that stuff, playing through that backlog. And it's like, you're just talking about remasters and all these games that are getting remastered, and it just kind of feels like the same game over and over again after a while. Like Metroid Prime 4, I'm super hyped for it. I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna buy it day one, of course. But Samus is gonna drop on a planet, lose all her stuff, and we're gonna have to go find it again.
The
And it's
question
like,
is though, how ridiculous is the reasoning? Like, is she gonna get hit by a wall this time and just lose everything?
I have no idea.
Wasn't that Dread where she like just like fell like really far?
Well, the best one is still Prime 1, where she literally just gets hit by a laser, hits a wall, and just gone.
Oh yeah, and it
Yeah.
somehow like electrocutes her like shoulder pads. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm gonna play it because that's what I do. But I don't know. I played back. I'm playing through some of the old backlog, and I think I've got enough games to hold me over till Switch 2 with a better battery comes out. That's my major problem with it is the battery. Like, come on, guys. We've learned this with the Steam Deck, with the other handhelds. You're gonna put power to it. Put a battery in it. Like even the Switch 1. Like just get a better battery.
I think it's just hard to sort of find that fine line between like a good battery and optimal game performance.
Sure.
Like even with the Steam Deck, it's
Yeah.
it's difficult to do. So, and it's weird. If it feels like as technology gets better, it feels like batteries are not improving with them. It feels like every single
True.
new piece of technology, it's like, oh, it has a battery that's like lithium ion and it lasts like 2 hours before it needs a charge and it's fucking dead in 2 years. It's like, what are we doing, guys?
Which
Like,
is
there a reason we're not improving? Like, are there better batteries out there and we're not using them?
well, I still am wondering, like, the batteries in the Game Boy Advance SP, those things are magical because mine I have not charged in 7 years and it still has a charge. Like,
I would say the GBA SPs I have, those batteries, they hold a decent charge, but I've had issues with them before. But
I know my Game Boy Micro, when I bought that, it had like a charge to it, and I've never charged
Mine
it
too.
since, and it still has charge. So
Yeah.
Yeah, my GBA lasts forever too. I mean, just with the batteries. I mean, it's
the DS Lite did too. Like the DS Lite, you never had to charge that damn thing.
Yeah.
I'll say my 3DS XL has a really good battery life.
My 2DS was great. I was on a ship for a week, and I think I maybe had to charge it once.
Hmm.
And it
It's
was,
pretty
Oh
good.
yeah,
yeah, it was
Nintendo.
solid.
Nintendo used to make like the greatest batteries ever. I guess the Switch, I'll
Well,
give them a little slack because of what it's doing, but
Yeah, because it's beefed up mobile hardware, and also like with the original Game Boy, it just used like just off the shelf batteries,
Yeah,
you know, and the fact that it wasn't that demanding of technology meant that the batteries could last forever. But
I
now
keep.
with say like the Switch 2 and the Steam Deck, like you're playing fucking Elden Ring on them. Like of
That's
course
true.
that's gonna eat your battery.
Well, I keep thinking
know?
back to that Tetris movie where he's explaining why they didn't go with color screen because they were focusing on battery life. I keep hearing that line after you said that. I was like, yeah,
Yeah,
see, I just
it's a fine line, and I bet Nintendo probably tried to find the best medium that they could.
yeah.
I just think of that goddamn Game Gear commercial where it's like he's playing the Game Boy and then he picks up the dead squirrel and just starts beating himself over the head with it to see colors. I'm just like, ads were something else back in the day.
Wasn't that Ethan
Ads were-
Suplee? Was that Ethan Suplee?
I think so. It was
Yeah,
such a-
yeah.
Bring him
oh,
back and do a commercial.
Yeah. I mean, he's still around. He's lost a bunch of weight. Like he's in really good shape now. So good for him. He's in a better spot in his life. But like seeing him bash himself with the Game Gear, I'm like, dude, you're gonna give yourself a concussion. That thing is massive.
No, it wasn't even a Game Gear. It was a dead squirrel that he found on the ground.
Even worse.
It's like such a random ad, but I love that era.
I would have loved to be in that pitch meeting with that storyboard going, okay, now he picks up a dead squirrel and just watch the reactions of everybody in that
Well,
room going,
I
yeah,
Dude, the
guarantee-
kids are gonna love this.
they're going to love this.
I guarantee like Tom Kalinske was probably at the other side of the table and just went, go on. Like,
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you think Japan approved that ad or America approved
Oh,
that
Jap-
ad? Which
Japan
division
probably-
of Sega approved
Japan-
that ad?
Japan was too busy doing like Segata Sanshiro, which it was also amazing. But
Oh yeah, and they were too busy trying to kill their own success in America to feel better about themselves.
yeah. I
But-
miss the days when we had ads of like a Japanese like sumo wrestler running around beating the shit out of children for not playing Sega Saturn. Like, such
See-
a different time.
The ad I'll always remember for how terrible it was. I believe it was for the original Xbox.
Oh, the one where the woman gives birth, rockets the child into the sky, and then lands in the grave.
I
Yes.
saw that just the other day. It came up on one of my social media feeds. Oh my god.
And I'm
That
like,
is-
and you see that and you're like, that's where it all went wrong. It wasn't Don
just-
Matrick, it was that commercial.
Well, I think of like the original DS ad before like the Wii era of ads started, where it was just like Kirby playing around with the giant finger that was just poking the DS.
I vaguely remember that ad, yeah, because really the ad that took off for the DS, I think it was what like Beyonce playing like one of those. What was it? Brain Age? It was one of
Yeah.
those.
There was
Like
that,
that
one,
was
and
the
then
ad. That was the ad I saw everywhere back in the day.
There was that, and then the famous Wii ad with the two Japanese men showing
Yep.
up in the smart car. The we would like to play.
Yeah, and the granddad loving weed tennis, he like poops his pants,
Yeah, It's
which
such a
was
weird
accurate
era.
for the
Still has
time.
some edge.
That was accurate for the time.
Very true.
Yeah. So,
That
but anyways, that's the news segment.
It took
That's a
weird
good segment, man. You could have done a whole show on just the news. That's
I mean,
good.
half the time, the majority of the show is the news. Just 'cause
Our
there's so much to
record-
talk about.
Our record is like 50 minutes on the news and then like 5 on the game
Mm-hmm.
because there was literally nothing to talk about.
Well, that's not going to be this week's case
No.
because today we are covering a game called Who Shot Johnny Rock. So
I couldn't
this-
afford the 3DO version, so that this had to do.
I don't have a copy of it. I emulated it, but I will get to that in a second.
I
So,
went
yes.
to my random retro store and they just happened to have this on the shelf, and I was like, "Oh, cool!"
That's a
that
good
works.
retro store. Dang.
It's one of those like fake cases that wasn't the actual
yeah.
one, but I was like, as
I was
long
gonna
as
say, you go the retro store I like to frequent. I see like in all of their game case sections, like a bunch of like reprinted cases now.
oh yeah,
Like they're becoming more of a thing, but I'll give them credit. And that's if it's like for an Xbox or a PlayStation game, they'll say on the label it's a reprinted cover and they charge less for it, which is nice.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. But yeah, for like Sega CD, for Dreamcast, that kind of stuff, I've seen people make the DVD clamshells for them so they fit in better, which is nice. But I feel like if you're going in there for those games, you kind of want the whole case, you know?
yeah. I generally will pass on stuff like that. Like I think the only
Did we lose Thrak?
Let me just pause this.
Stay out of retro stores.
They can
money.
be. I mean, they can be hit or miss as far as like the quality goes. There's quite a few of them in my area. So, but there's like one. There's one I really like.
Yeah,
I go to them frequently because their prices are good, their quality is good, their trade-in value is really good. You know, they do a good job. Like Phoenix Resale actually did a video on them. I could link it to you so you can see which one I'm talking about.
Phoenix Resale is in like Arizona.
Well, that's the YouTube channel.
Oh, okay.
But he went to the store. It's in my area. So.
Oh, okay, cool.
But yeah. But anyways, so we're covering Who Shot Johnny Rock. So Who Shot Johnny Rock was developed by American Laser Games and is a live-action FMV video game made in 1991. And so it's very similar to, say, when we covered the Mad Dog McCree trilogy. It's the same type of concept. It's a game where you watch a full motion video and you have to shoot people. So in the arcades, you probably had a gun, but on whatever console you play it on, you use the controller to shoot people. And so basically you're trying to find out who shot Johnny Rock. You know, was it Maggie Simpson? I won't say. I'm not going to spoil it, Mr. Burns. But yeah, what KC, did you play this game back then?
Oh yeah, definitely. I discovered this game just like Mad Dog McCree in an arcade. Though I was racking my brain today trying to remember which one it was. If it was golf and stuff here in town, or if it was an old arcade called Pole. It wasn't Pole Position; it was called Grand Prix, but it was kind of like a pole position type arcade, and they had the fastest go-karts. Anyway, Who Shot Johnny Rock was one of those giant cabinets that had the giant screen and the gun that you could actually shoot. And I loved like shooting gallery stuff. Like that's why I like those like Mad Dog McCree games, anything American Laser Games. I even like Crime Patrol.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one I played, and I remember it being like a whopping $1 per play. And that was a game we played once. So you either got good at it, you memorized the sequences, and then later on found out it was like $20 on discount for 3DO and picked that up with the game gun and copies of Mad Dog and which I already had Mad Dog, but had another copy of Johnny Rock with it. So I got good at seeing little blips. I could probably read radar really good now because you just see like the grain move on the screen. Yeah, but yeah, that's kind of how I got into it. I think what made me gravitate towards it was at the time I was staying with my grandparents. My grandparents were really into like the old film noir, the old detective shows. We watched a lot of like if anybody's from the 80s and 90s, the Mike Hammer series, In the Heat of the Night, like anything that had to do with like Private Eyes and kind of that old 1920s style gangster era. I love those shows and those movies. So naturally, the campiness of that game was like, okay, like all the typical tropes were just really really fun for me. And now I go back to play it in preparation of the show, and I was like, my God, how did I play that game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say right off the bat, I still found it charming, but this one definitely did not have the same charm as Last Bounty Hunter.
Oh, not at all. And it's a shame because the setup for it is really good. And I was just kind of hoping for those like Mad Dog moments. And they just weren't hitting as well. Like weirdly enough, I think the game is significantly easier than the Mad Dog games, but that could be because of my different way of playing them. Because for the Mad Dog games, I played them on the Wii. And that was trying to, I think, emulate the arcade experience with the Wii remote. And I think it did a pretty good job of that. Yeah. But for this game, I played two versions of it. I emulated the 3DO version, which was fine. Wasn't amazing, but, you know, it is what it is. But I also played this game on PC. If you go to a website called My Abandonedware, you can find the DOS version of this game and download it. And when I downloaded it, I was like, oh, am I going to have to load this up in the DOSBox and figure all that stuff out? DOSBox is, of course, an emulator for like old DOS games on the PC. It takes a little bit of know-how to make it work, but it's not super complicated. But when I booted this up, it just ran. Didn't have to DOSBox it, which was fantastic. And then I breezed through the game in like 15 minutes because, let's be honest, I'm playing a light gun shooter with my mouse.
Yep.
It
I just
is.
breezed through it, but I did run into one issue, which I will get to. But yeah, I found the game to it was still like enjoyable and I was laughing at it, but it just didn't have those really good Mad Dog moments. Like the closest it got was that Lockjaw lady who always talked
Lockjaw
like this.
Lil.
She never opened her mouth, and I was like, "Oh,
We
fucking
talk Johnny
hell."
Rock.
Like when that happened, I was like, "Oh, we're in for a trip."
Well,
But it
my
never
favorite,
gets past that. It never goes beyond that.
I got a laugh out of Measles because he's like, I got blasted in the face with acid. Now they call me Measles. So I'm just like, what does that have to
And
do?
it looked
with
like
anything?
he had chicken pox. It didn't
Yeah.
look like
Which is because,
measles.
and then there's someone else named Smallpox like later
Yeah.
on.
You wanna know how I got these scars? You know,
Yeah.
I was hoping he'd do a whole Joker thing, but and there's like the dude who works at the car shop who looks like a dude from Mad Dog who had the bowler hat,
Mhm.
you know, where he's like, "There's more inside," you know, and he hides. I think it's the same guy. And I was hoping for more recurring characters. I didn't see any more beyond him, unless I missed some.
Yeah, we didn't have like the death screen like pastor this time around who's like the
No,
best.
instead it was a doctor who was okay. He wasn't great.
See, the difference is we didn't have the Game Grumps like memories of them just making the pastor into this like meme of a character for
I
no
mean,
reason.
that is true, but I just feel like, but playing the Mad Dog games even by themselves, they have more to
Oh,
work
yeah.
with. Whereas it feels like this doesn't have that same level of charm.
Like
you know,
there was no like porter potty explosion, then guy coming out being like, that was a big one. Or,
there's none of that. In fact, one thing I applaud the game for is having kind of a randomness to it, which gives it almost like a replayability. So basically the plot of the game is some lady comes into you're like, I'm a detective. Like he's always doing the noir third person thing, even when he's directly talking to somebody, which is hilarious.
I love the
but, like,
voice. The voice
Yeah.
is so
oh,
It's so over
Yes.
the top.
yeah. And he's like, this lady came in and sat at my at the chair, and she's like, oh, everybody calls me Red, and she's like, oh, somebody shot Johnny Rock. And the scene where he gets shot, there's like the Tommy gun, and then he dies in the booth. But you can tell the Tommy gun's not being aimed at him; it's just shooting out the window, like straight ahead, and he's over here, and it's like, well, that doesn't make any whatever, right? So she's like telling you everything, being like, can you save him or whatever? Like that one dude randomly comes in with a telegram. I love your secretary just brings him in casually,
Yeah.
and then he just tries to pull a gun and shoot, and she's just like calm, cool as a fucking cucumber.
The secretary is my favorite character in the game, just because.
Oh yeah, she's
anytime
great.
you go back to the office, she'll be like, "There's no evidence here. Get out of here." And you can just keep going back. And I was convinced that one time you go back, something would happen. But no, it's just because she's like slacking off, like feet on the desk. She's like, "You didn't see that? Go away."
She reminds me a little bit of the secretary from Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was fun.
Yeah, and then there's like the two dudes. One has a gun, one has like flowers or whatever. But basically, the whole thing is there's like 4 people you have to find, and they all have separate clues to unlock like the safe. And if you unlock the safe, then you find out who shot Johnny Rock. And one thing I like is the game kind of randomizes it, because once you leave there, then they give you a little map, and you can choose which of the 4 areas to go to at your leisure.
I love the little bass jam that plays when you're on the map screen.
See, I didn't get any music in the map screen.
Oh, really?
Again, I was playing the PC version, so it might be a little different.
The arcade version has like a very kind of cool jazzy soundtrack.
I gotta look that up.
Sega CD also had it. Like, it's just this like weird like bass theme that's like sounds like kind of like the noir like exploration music that you'd usually hear.
Yep.
That might attribute to some of the issues I had running the PC version, which we'll get to. But anyways, you go to these different areas, and then you just participate in your shooting gallery stuff. And again, I found it like super fucking easy. I do like the map screen where you can kind of pick whichever one you want to go to. There's the ammo place where you can get extra ammo, but you only can go, I think, like 3 times, and then you stop being able to go to it.
It's actually really interesting. Like, this game doesn't have reloading like Mad Dog did, but instead you have to buy ammo, which is an interesting trade-off.
No, you can reload.
Well, I mean, it doesn't like you don't. It'll reload automatically. Like when I was playing, like you don't have to.
Oh, I had to reload, but I had to, just like click the right button to reload.
I remember it not being the same, like kind of a pain like it was in the stay in Mad Dog. But
Yeah, because with Mad Dog, well, with like any, you shoot off screen to reload, but because I'm playing the PC version, I can't really do that. So I just
Gotcha.
like click the right button to reload, which worked just fine. But yeah, you go to these various areas, and then like the silly stuff happens, but it's not as silly. It feels like it's just more of like a straight ahead type of game. But they do the same thing as Mad Dog, where they'll have the fake out with like other people who are like, "Don't shoot," and it's like, why would you pop out and say don't shoot? Just
Oh,
hide,
yeah.
you stupid.
I didn't kill anyone on accident until I got to the casino with what's her name?
Lockjaw.
Lockjaw
Where it was like
Lil.
literally like every person, because it basically once you walk in and the bouncer's like, what's the password? You just pull out your gun. He's like, all right, well, you're not gonna make it out of here alive.
That guy sounded like he was fresh off of the set of Mad Dog. The way he had kind of that southern, I was like,
what's the
I showed him my
password?
38.
The password is gun. All right.
But
Which
then
is
you
funny
walk-
because you have a 38, but you're using a Tommy gun. Which I don't know.
yes.
Shh. Details.
But then the best part is you walk into the casino and everyone just is like chilling, and then they just kind of look over, and then everyone just goes and just like hides.
Yeah.
But the best part is like this is how the only civilian kill I had by accident was like I'm shooting all the people, and then this random lady just pops up and goes, "Don't shoot!" And she jump scared me, and I shot her. I was like, "Oops."
And you're like, oh, this fucking game's doing that too. Yeah.
It's
And
like,
then the doctor. What were the doctor quips? A lot of them I didn't even remember because they weren't that funny.
They weren't as memorable. He was just kind of like he's like, "Aren't you a sad sight?" or something like
Yeah,
that.
he's like, you look like Swiss. You got enough holes. You look like Swiss cheese.
Yeah, I
that's-
remember that
that was
one.
a good
Or
one.
when you ran out of money, he would just say, "I don't work for free."
Yeah.
Yeah.
No money. Take him to the morgue. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, that was
that's a
probably
good one.
that was my favorite line.
Yeah.
Like
My
it's
favorite was-
like it reminded me of like Monty Python, like the Dead Collector. Where they're where Cleesus hold that guy over the shoulder and he's like, "Oh, he's dead," and he's like, "I'm not dead yet."
Yeah.
Like imagine taking some guy to the morgue and he's like, "Oh, I'm not dead yet.
I love when
I
you
could
go
go
to
for a walk."
I love when you go to the bar to find mumps,
Mumps,
and like
yeah.
you walk in, they're like,
Yeah.
this is a private club, and you're just like, I'm here looking for someone named Mumps, and then Mumps goes, well, I ain't looking for you, get him, boys.
Oh yeah,
and,
it's
and this,
the pool bar,
the
yeah.
dialogue's so weird because he's like, I'll stuff you in my cheeks till winter. Like,
Yeah,
he's not Squirrel.
like what is that?
Like,
Such a weird.
how does that? And then the other guy says he's gonna bleach your bones. Like, who wrote the script?
It's like they watched all those like gangster film noir movies and just picked little quips that they liked and just were like, we'll fit them in the script somewhere. And every person you shoot that has a Tommy gun, when you kill them, they can't resist going
Oh yeah,
and
the
just
guy who
wipe
just
it like in the
destroys
pool bar, just wipes the whole thing.
And then the guy
I
goes,
feel like
"Look
Mumps
what you
would be
did
more
to my
pissed at
place."
that. It's like, I didn't do that. He did.
My favorite was like one of the guys who pops up in front of the pool table. You shoot him, and then he just jumps in the air onto the table.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, because
The-
every time I
the
get
stunt,
shot,
the
I
stunt
jump.
work is great. Stunt work is
Yeah.
great.
I liked in the factory too, where like you shoot the guy, he falls into the vat of chemicals, it just explodes. I'm just like,
Yeah,
yeah,
pretty cool.
See, when that happened, I was like, oh, do I need to shoot him again? Because I was expecting like the conveyor, like he like goes there and then he just points a gun at you, and then you shoot him and then he falls in,
yeah.
which would have been cute.
Another good one was your one of the stairwells. You shoot a guy up on the railing, and he like kind of hangs over it, and then he kind of like pushes himself to fall, but doesn't go, and he just kind of lays there, and I'm just like, okay.
And there's like, I think the guy right before him, you shoot him and he goes, oh,
Oh
like
yeah.
a really loud Italian,
This-
oh, like
Yeah,
his
the
Dice,
screams.
they sound like Dice Clay.
The screams are so overacted, but I fucking love it.
Oh yeah, that was great. Yeah, and there's like the random bomb that like when you shoot it, it doesn't blow up, it just goes past you and then blows up behind you.
Yeah, I just remember like seeing that like the little comedy bomb, and I immediately think like Adam West Batman. Like some days you just can't get rid of a
Can't
bomb.
remember bomb, yeah. Yeah. Like the game still very much has those charms, but it's just like Mad Dog was such lightning in a bottle that it's hard to recreate it. And it feels like here they are trying to recreate it, but it just maybe it's just like the actors aren't really as into it, or they didn't write as good quips or as good setups for it. Like it's kind of harder to get those
I think it's
comedic moments out of like a film noir type thing.
That's my thing. I think it's a it's just the setting. Like film noir is such a generally serious like setting that it's a lot harder to make it super comedic. Like westerns are so easy to make dumb and comedic.
Super easy, and it's great.
And also, like, I think the big thing with this one is it's just a lot shorter.
Oh yeah, like you can beat the game in like 15 minutes or something.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Though I didn't technically beat the game. And it's because of an issue I had. And it could have been purely because of the PC version, I'm not sure. But like, so as you're playing the game, right? When you take down all the main bosses, or when you just tell them like, "Oh, I got you," like you don't even have to fight them. They're just like, "Okay, well, here's part of the secret to his combination," and they give you a random piece of artwork that's in his mansion, right? Which is another thing I like. It's all kind of randomized, so it could be anything, and it forces you to not like learn everything, just kind of adapt to it, which I appreciate. But anyways, I get to the safe, right? And and he goes like, "I knew the combination. All I have to do now is shoot it open," right? And it was like, and I'm like, "So where am I aiming?" Right? The game doesn't really tell you where to aim. You see the safe screen and with the numbers going back and forth, right? And I'm like, I don't know what to shoot here. Like I have the combination. I wrote it on my phone so I would have the 4 numbers.
You're smarter than me.
Fair enough. But I would be like shooting random parts of it when the numbers would come up and nothing was happening. And I was like, am I doing something wrong? What's going on? I would look up walkthroughs and they were shooting the number as it would go by. And I'm like, fair enough. And I replayed it over and over and over again. It just wouldn't register when I would shoot the numbers. It just wouldn't do it. It could have been a glitch. Like I replayed the game like 2 or 3 times because of how short it was to see if I could figure it out, and I never did. So I technically didn't beat it, but that was on the game. And then when I tried loading up the 3DO version, I was playing through that, and I was like, I don't know if I want to beat the whole version of it this way. So, because I had already been playing it for like a couple hours at that point because I was getting frustrated.
So this is a little thing. I don't blame you for not doing it because you probably didn't think of it at the time, but you can rig the 3DO emulator for mouse support, and it does work.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a pain to do, so I don't blame you for not doing it, because I mean you already got the experience anyways.
Yeah, because on 4DO and RetroArch they ran about the same, which I had some like audio clipping and some weird stuff, but nothing that rendered it unplayable. But yeah.
The Sega CD version is fine aside from the full motion video looking like potatoes. So,
oh, it looks like ass. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not great.
You can run denoiser and it helps a little bit. But yeah, because I couldn't get the audio to sync. I took it on my phone with me on my trip when you told me we were doing this. So I was like, I better bone up on this. And I was like, God, I hope I could get touch. If I could get touch screen, that's like the ultimate cheat. But I ended up having to run the Sega CD version because it just wouldn't run on RetroArch on the phone.
Yeah, and then there was a CDI version, and then weirdly enough, in 2001, it got a DVD version. So, and there are like Twitch VODs of people playing the DVD version, which is essentially you take like a DVD remote and just flick through it and shoot people or whatever. And I guess people like it because it's like the most updated version of the game as far as like the cleanest video and audio for the game, which is fucking crazy. Because I was playing the PC version. The PC version looks and runs pretty okay, but the screen size that they give you, like the default screen size is like this big. And then you're like, oh, and you're like, and then there's like, oh, can I double it? They're like, yeah, you can double it. Like, oh, thanks. There was a full screen version. And like the video parts actually like cleaned up decently well. Like it's not being upscaled or anything, but it's on a better screen. But like the map and some other stuff just kind of looked like shit. But you know, it was made for like 90s DOS machines. It wasn't made for a Windows 11 PC. But I was surprised I got to run without DOSBox at all. Though maybe if I ran it through DOSBox, it would run better. That I don't know. I didn't test that. But yeah, but I did get the experience. It's just a shame I couldn't put it in the Beaten Games catalog because I would be cheating.
I will say I soft locked myself twice playing this game because I did not take into account the statues the first time I played, because you have to hit them in the order you find them.
Oh,
yeah. Yes.
And I got to that room and I'm like, well, shit. So I'm like, all right, reset, try this again.
Did you ever revisit any areas you completed?
I went to the factory, and the factory, like the conveyor belt's just there, and it's like shoot the code numbers on the buckets falling down, or shoot the mystery number, and it just you can shoot them all and nothing happens. And I was just like, okay,
Well, what I like is if you go back to the casino, like everybody pops out and shoots you, and they just go
Yeah.
ha ha ha.
Yeah.
Or if you go back to the pool hall, Mumps just like sprays a Tommy gun at you.
yeah,
You don't lose a life or anything like that. It's just like a little quirky thing that they give you, I think.
yeah.
So,
It's just it's the charm that I love from American Laser games, because like playing this again, like the first thing I thought the whole way through, I'm like, is there is so much more heart in this game than any Digital Pictures game.
yeah, like
And-
I think Digital Pictures is trying harder to make more serious pieces of entertainment, right? Like I think they're trying to be taken seriously, and that's kind of where they falter, and also just the games aren't very well done. Whereas American Laser games, they know exactly what they're doing. It's as tongue in cheek as it can get, and they play that up. And I think that's what makes them entertaining, because you know that they had a fun time shooting these,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it comes off when you're playing it. That they're like, yeah, this is silly. This isn't meant to be like, this isn't meant to be absolute cinema or anything like that. It's just meant to be just a fun little thing that you do.
See,
You
I
know?
like the effort they put into it though, even then, like, cause like all the characters are like in like the proper like attire for the time. Like everyone like looks the part.
Yeah.
The acting's just goofy as fuck, but that's honestly the reason why you play these games.
Exactly, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, wardrobe was really pretty awesome. I thought, for a period piece, it was pretty cool.
It
Um,
reminds me a little bit of a Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yeah. I mean, even the beginning where you're talking about how when you get shot, the gun's kind of pointed off the side. I got big time like. Did you ever see the movie The Untouchables? When they shoot Sean Connery, it's kind of like it kind of gave me that vibe. Like I don't know if they're trying to call back, and that movie wasn't released too much, ahead of
That was
Infinity War.
87, I think.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I could see some like kind of maybe not nods, but maybe some influence from some of those.
I could
Some
see
of those
that for
movies.
sure. Yeah, I could see
I'm
that.
reaching, but those were all movies I watched, or and I was like, oh, that's like what happened in that movie. So
You're the man now, dog.
Punch the keys for God's sakes. Is this game
McCloud.
multiplayer or is this just a lie? I'm actually not sure.
I think it is 2-player, because I think
Okay.
most like shooting gallery games have a 2-player option.
I just looked down. I'm like 2 players.
Yeah.
And it's
I should
near
check that out.
unbeatable with 2 players.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and in the arcade you had the two guns. So if you were really balling, you had $2. You could drop that in and go akimbo.
You could, yeah,
But
double
you weren't
fist
going to
it,
beat
nice.
that game.
Is it harder with 2 players?
Yeah, more. You have
The
more,
windows
more
are
stuff
tighter.
happening. Yeah.
Yeah, because I played this on, I think it was just like the WIMP difficulty, just because I was curious. And yeah, like the window they give you for everything is so big.
Yeah,
You know,
Wimp and Ace,
especially
that's
when
it.
I'm playing it on PC and I'm just with my mouse, I'm just like bam, 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 bam.
Yep.
Like not even really thinking about it.
Yeah.
I think one of my
there's just a
favorite-
different delay between
I
them.
think one of my favorite encounters is when you're in like the parking garage kind of area. And
Oh, yeah.
there's just one guy standing there the whole time and he's like not doing anything. And then the second you clear a bunch of guys, he just suddenly pulls out a gun and it's like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
you're done.
I liked the lady that had like the baby carriage and then she flicks the other side and there's just
Yeah.
like a midget in there.
Yeah.
I was like, what? I was
And
like,
that dude is, I believe, is in the car garage. And in my version, when you shot him, he just disappeared.
yeah.
He was reborn.
Which I'm like, oh boy, yeah, he was reborn as a baby. And there were a couple moments where I would get shot, and it was just like, where the fuck was that guy? Again, it could have been the lack of resolution on the piece on
Use the little blip
PC
on the radar.
version.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were some times where it was like I would see a shadow somewhere, and a guy would laugh, and I'd be like, where the fuck was he? And he was like hiding in like a corner, and I'm like, I could not see him like at all. But that only happened like once or twice.
Sniper.
I still love
Oh,
when, like, when you'll shoot somebody and then they're like behind a window and then they just jump out the window as they get shot. You're like, yep.
Yeah,
That makes
and then they do the thing when you get to the mansion and like you're outside it and it's like the same 4 dudes over and over again
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was
until the game decides to let you in. That reminded me of, I forget which Mad Dog game it was, but one of the Mad Dogs had that. Same kind of setup.
I will say overall, not as quotable as Mad Dog by any means, but it was
No.
still just as entertaining.
It was entertaining and I had a good time with it, but when I was done, I'm like, this like Mad Dog was lightning in a bottle. And this is just it doesn't reach those same heights, but it still very much fits within the American Laser Games canon. Like I've heard like Space Pirates gets pretty close to the Mad Dog stuff with how fucking over the top it gets, but we'll get there when we get there. So
I also love the fact that like I was reading the reviews for this, like the reviews were definitely written by like the no fun police because like these they're like taking it way too serious.
of course.
Ironically, the CDI review has an 82%, which is like okay. I guess CDI had someone who had a sense of humor.
Yeah, they knew what they're doing. Why the fuck does this have an Xbox review?
I think that's the cleanest version of it too, of the home releases was the CDI. Or I think there was a Laserdisc version too.
Well, it might have been the arcade was a Laserdisc.
Yeah.
Potentially, like Dragon's Lair or something like that.
But I have no experience with Daphne and wonder if it would run well or at all on that.
I mean, it might. I don't see why it wouldn't.
Also, one little fun like Easter egg. Apparently, the team that ported the game to 3DO was Origin.
Yeah, the Wing Commander guys and fucking Ultima.
Chris Roberts' studio, yeah.
Sure, why not?
Poured over Who Shot Johnny Rock.
Maybe they needed a break. Or they're like, you guys know FMV games, right? And they're like, sure, do this one. Okay.
So, I guess now, must play, okay, stay away. I'm going to say okay for this one. I don't think this one is as much of a must play as like the Mad Dog games, but it's still good. Like I still say if you're in the mood for something stupid and cheesy like this, I'd give Who Shot Johnny Rock a playthrough. You'll get your fun out of it, and then you can move on and play something else.
I think it helps that it's like really short, so you don't have to spend so much time with it, and it's not super difficult as well. So you can get the experience and move on pretty quickly. Yeah, again, I would say okay. Like if you're an American Laser Games fan, it's an absolute must play. Like playing this after Mad Dog, I think you can appreciate it a little bit more because you know what they're trying to do. But yeah, it doesn't hit those same highs for me. Like I still think about Mad Dog. I don't know if I will ever think about Who Shot Johnny Rock ever again. But it was okay. I didn't hate it at all.
Yeah. I'll say okay as well. You're right. It doesn't hit like Mad Dog does, but if you like shooting gallery games or on-rail shooters, it's a good time. For a period piece, it's fun, over the top, but it's like you said, Thrak. It's 15 minutes. I could do worse things in 15 minutes. So
I have done worse things in 15 minutes.
That's
a different podcast.
That's a different show.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'll say okay as well.
Yeah, it's one of those games that it's like it's completely harmless, but it doesn't have the possum guy. Like I still think I think of the possum guy every now and then.
Or that one guy who's like, jailbreak, time for me to go. I always think about that guy. He was in Last Bounty Hunter. I love that guy.
Or the guy who gets blown up in the bar. He's like, got a light?
Got a light, yeah.
Yeah. Or a Buckskin Bonnie.
Yeah. Just
ugliness is close to godliness.
Yeah. See, those games are works of art.
Yeah, those are good.
Absolute works of art.
See, the way I put it is like, I'm not going to win any awards in anti-game of the year with Who Shot Johnny Rock like I did with Last Bounty Hunters. So, yeah, no, that was a fun conversation. Casey, thanks for joining us again, man.
Oh, thank you all for having me. It's always a great time, and I always learn a lot from you guys. So, yeah, thanks.
Well, when we do Space Pirates and the Crime Patrol games, we'll get you back.
I'm all in.
We got to complete the American Laser Games journey.
Yep, and Killing Time, but that's going to be that's a big
project.
You
said the magic words there.
An actual game.
Well, I mean, the remaster's out now, so we're getting closer.
Oh yeah.
We just
I am playing it.
It's loaded up on my Xbox. It's ready to go whenever.
I think I sent you the pictures. I broke it like in the first 10 minutes of playing it.
That's
I
awesome.
clipped through a wall and got stuck.
perfect. I can't wait till we do that one.
Oh, that's gonna be awesome.
That being said, next week we're going to be going in the polar opposite direction of quality, and we're going to be talking about a game called.
Hey, now be nice.
I don't know yet. I haven't played it yet, but
I
gonna
have
be
a little bit.
we're going to be talking about It's a Bird's Life.
Shelley Duvall's It's a
Duvall.
Bird Life. Get it right.
And if anyone wants to know why, it's because I found a mint copy in a game store and I thought it was funny. So,
And we're going to be talking about it next week. So stay tuned, kids.
Casey, before we go, do you have anything to plug or?
No, I did just get a new computer, so I will be back online eventually. My last one kind of blew up on me, so yeah, no, I'll be back on Desert Level Gaming on Twitch, and yeah, I'll be playing something.
Nice.
Sounds good.
Well, anyways, guys, once again, thank you for joining us on the 3DO Experience. You can find the 3DO Experience on all the major podcasting platforms, particularly Apple Podcast and Spotify. And be sure to check us out over on the Superpod Network. That is superpodnetwork.com. Awesome site. We can find a whole bunch of different podcasts, videos, blogs. I'm not sure if we have a blog theme going on right now. I think we wrapped up PlayStation Month. I think we're in the middle of a bit of a lull there, but
with all of the Echo talk that's going on, I think I'm going to do a blog for both Echo Junior games. So stay tuned.
Yeah, that'd be
Nice.
awesome.
I'm going to go
But
backwards.
Yeah, you can find all of those over on superpodnetwork.com. And with that, everybody, next week we're covering A Bird's Life. And that should be fun. But until next time, guys, we will see you all later.
Bye-bye.